Hi, I'm Brian Walters. I'm one of the managing partners at Walters Gilbreath. I've been licensed to practice law in Texas since 1996, and I'm board certified in family law. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my background and experience. How did I get into law? It's partly because I had an uncle of mine who was a lawyer and a judge, and I got as a kid to go spend time with him. It was kind of between law school and medical school when I was in high school, not a very sophisticated set of choices, but I was kind of queasy around the sight of blood, so I thought, well, I'm not going to be a doctor. So I decided to go to law school and did that, and here I am practicing law many years later. I got into family law sort of indirectly. I started my career practicing medical malpractice defense, representing doctors in hospitals for my last 2 years of law school and my first year out. But pretty soon I realized I wanted to be my own boss, and so I left that firm and started my own firm with some other lawyers, and sort of just started taking cases that came in, and I figured out pretty quickly that family law, divorce law was something that I was good at and that I liked, and there were plenty of people that needed help in that area, so I ended up doing it full time. My goal when representing a client is to get what they want, which sounds simple, but it really isn't, for a couple of reasons. Sometimes folks want things that are very difficult to get, so we got to be creative and strong in getting those things. Sometimes what people want as their goals changes over time. They might start a case wanting one thing and kind of it evolves, and eventually they want something else. And I think honestly, sometimes clients don't know what they want, especially at the beginning of a case. They're shocked or surprised by what's going on. They walk into my office and they just want the ground beneath them to stop shaking and to get some control over their life, and then eventually we'll come up with goals. So we put the client first. What the client wants is what we get. So having some experience with children and being divorced myself has actually been pretty helpful to my practice. I also ran a business for a while and had lawyers as that I hired, so I've also been a client of lawyers. So all those things are really helpful for me. Those things kind of happened mid-career for me, and so I think before that I was very eager and hardworking, but I lacked a lot of practical experience and a lot of empathy from just having children or being through a marriage and a divorce. Now that I've had those experiences, it's really helped me in a couple of different ways. One is just to be able to empathize with people, to understand what they're going through, because I've been through it. Some of it's practical. I remember, with raising kids, I remember early in my career I'd have people come in and say, well, my son got bruises on his knee when he was at his dad's house or something like that, and that could be a problem, but having a son of my own now, I realize that little boys could get bruises just because they're little boys or little girls, and so it's given me a lot more perception of reality and what's important and not. It's also made me understand how important that is about the children. Since I have kids of my own, I now understand why they're your number one priority, and I can really understand parents who are going to great lengths to protect their children. This is a really important line of work to me because it's the most important things in people's lives. I mean, what could be more important than the future of your children? What could be more important than your marriage or your financial security going forward? All those things are really important. Family law and divorce law combines all of those things into one, into the most important things in people's lives. And that's why it's so emotional, and that's why it's so conflict-ridden, and that's why there's so much importance putting on finding a good lawyer who can get you what you want. I think a really good family law attorney is a couple of different things. I think it's really important to be smart. It is complicated. The law is complicated. The rules of procedure are very complex. The rules of evidence are complicated. And one of the characteristics of family law and divorce law is that it actually combines a lot of different types of law together. So you need to have knowledge over a broad variety of areas and then very specific knowledge. Secondly, you need to work hard. There's no two ways about that. I mean, these things, preparing for trial, preparing for court is a lot of work. It may require long hours, it may require funny hours. You just have to be willing to do it. And lastly, I think you need to be able to listen really carefully and be empathetic to what your clients want, to really try to understand what they're really after and what their real goals are. It's often difficult for clients to articulate that, especially early in a case and especially during very emotional times. So if you can combine those three things together in a lawyer, in a law firm, I think you've got a really good representation. So I started my own firm 1 year out of law school. I think I was destined to do it. I wanted to do things my way. I had learned through other business experience and working for other law firms and for the state about how to be professional, but I had a very specific goal for myself, and I honestly didn't like having a boss. I don't think that has ever gone too well with me. So fortunately, I was in a practice area and in a city, Austin at the time, that there was a lot of opportunity to do that, and I went out on my own and have never looked back and have never regretted it. I wouldn't have done anything differently related to that. It's very personally satisfying for me to see a parent get an outcome with their child that they are happy with and that's protective of their child and is in their child's best interest. That's the most important thing. I'm a parent, and clearly that's the most important thing. Those outcomes where we achieve a really difficult but important outcome related to kids are probably my favorite ones. But it's also important to have financial security, right? If you're gonna raise children, you've got to be able to provide for them and support them. So when we handle large amounts of money, or we involve child support and those kind of things, those are really important cases too that are often personally satisfying for me as well. I'm board certified in family law, which means I can handle any type of case. I think the ones that I prefer and feel strongest about are usually those either with very complicated and difficult child issues, either a child that needs to be protected from a parent, or a parent that's being unfairly accused of not being a good parent or a safe parent. Those are really emotional, really difficult, really complex, long cases, and those are things I'm really comfortable. The other ones that I get hired on a great deal are those with large sums of money involved in divorces, 6, 7, 8 figures, and those things are, again, very complicated. There's usually a lot of moving parts, very high stakes, and those are something that I'm really comfortable with as well. That would have scared me a lot early in my career, but I've certainly gotten used to those, and that's pretty much the types that I take these days. The thing I enjoy most about my work is interacting with my clients. They all have my mobile number. I take calls from them whenever. It's great to see them come into the office initially in this terrible situation, and when they're done, I don't know if they're going to be happy, but they're going to be happy with us. They're probably not going to be happy with their situation, because if you get divorced, that's never a fun thing to do, but they're going to be happy and satisfied with us. And it's just wonderful having great clients that are happy with you and running across them years later in the grocery store or something like that, and seeing their kids grown up now and being thanked for that. That's really it's hard to beat that. I tend to provide a lot of support in the Houston area, but also statewide for disadvantaged youth through a number of different churches and private organizations in those cities. We've donated money, scholarships, clothes, goods. We've hired folks that we've helped out when they were in school and then ended up working for us. It's really a great feeling to be able to do that and to give back to the community some, and we really try to do it for those that we know really have a true need and want to make something of it, and that's wonderful. Well, thank you for listening to me talk about myself. Nothing that a lawyer likes to do more than that, I'm sure. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us by phone, message, email, whatever, and we'll be happy to talk.